Julie Burchill's explosive column exposes Meghan's yacht girl past. The Meghan Markle yacht girl claim simply will not go away. And I've spoken about this before, but until now, absolutely no one in the mainstream media has been brave enough to actually go there. Well, my friends, that silence has just been shattered into a million pieces. The legendary, utterly unfiltered, and completely fearless columnist Julie Burchill has just dropped an absolute nuclear bomb of an explosive column in none other than The Spectator, the UK's oldest and most prestigious editorial publication. She has officially brought the long-buried, heavily guarded Meghan Markle yacht girl question straight into the bright lights of the mainstream press. Can you even imagine the utter panic, the absolute chaos, and the full-blown emergency sirens echoing through the corridors of Archwell right now? The crisis management team in Montecito is literally staring at this draft in pure, unadulterated horror. 4 years, they sold you a meticulously crafted, squeaky-clean fairy tale narrative of a self-made global humanitarian who basically materialized out of thin air. But tonight, that high-gloss coat of PR paint is peeling off in real time. We are witnessing the catastrophic, irreversible breakdown of Meghan's most heavily guarded pre-royal history. So grab your popcorn, hit that like button and lock yourselves in, because we are about to pull back the curtain on a game-changing scandal that the elite tried desperately to hide. Now let's really dive deep into the absolute core of what is happening here, because frankly, this is a total paradigm shift for anyone who has been tracking the Sussex saga. For over half a decade, the dark whispers, the wild rumors, and the deeply controversial claims regarding Meghan Markle's alleged past on luxury vessels have been banished to the dusty, obscure corners of internet message boards. Mainstream media outlets, terrified of aggressive legal notices, high-priced PR firms, and relentless reputation management teams, kept a total blackout on the subject. But that impenetrable wall of protection has just suffered a catastrophic breach. Julie Burchill, writing for the oldest and most respected periodical in the United Kingdom, did not just drop a subtle hint. She put the ultimate forbidden question directly onto the front pages. This is the exact moment where internet gossip transforms into legitimate, undeniable mainstream commentary, and the implications for the Montecito brand are nothing short of terminal. Under our signature corporate analysis, what we are witnessing here is a classic textbook case of an unmapped pre-merger liability coming back to haunt a global commercial enterprise. Think about how high-stakes corporate mergers work in the real world. When a massive conglomerate acquires a smaller entity, they spend millions of dollars conducting rigorous due diligence. They hire forensic accountants, investigators, and legal teams to dig up every piece of dirt, every hidden debt, and every pending lawsuit buried in the basement to ensure there are no nasty surprises waiting to detonate the entire deal down the line. But back in 2018, when the British royal family rushed into this high-stakes merger with the Sussex brand, they completely failed their due diligence. They naively believed they could just scrub Meghan's pre-royal footprint off the face of the internet, apply a thick layer of expensive public relations glaze, and present her to the global public as a polished, squeaky clean humanitarian icon. But here is the hard, cold reality. You cannot actually delete the digital footprint of the internet, and you certainly cannot silence fearless investigative commentators forever. Burchill's column serves as a brutal public audit of those hidden liabilities, effectively pointing out to the global public that the foundational history of the Sussex brand is built on a total foundation of friction and PR illusions. The yacht girl questions simply refuse to die because they represent the ultimate, unbridgeable chasm between the public performance of an elite global humanitarian and the raw, unpolished reality of a struggling Hollywood actress doing whatever it took to climb the ruthless social ladder. For over 6 years, the Sussexes have poured millions of dollars into top-tier crisis managers, aggressive brand strategists, and legal juggernauts to maintain a deep freeze on her past. But the second a titan of print journalism openly questions how many ultra-luxury vessels she was socializing on before she ever crossed paths with Prince Harry, the protective dam bursts entirely. This is no longer about tabloid malice or petty internet chatter. This is an existential crisis of authenticity for a commercial brand that is already operating on absolute zero in 2026. To fully grasp the sheer scale of this crisis, we have to examine the explosive, deeply disturbing legal connections that link these long-rumored high society circles straight to the darkest, most disgraceful chapters of modern royal history. Look closely at the court filings and the transcripts surrounding the infamous legal battles of the late Virginia Giuffre. David Boies, the legendary powerhouse attorney who systematically dismantled Prince Andrew's legal defense, publicly named Meghan Markle as a target for a mandatory court deposition. Why on earth would one of the most feared lawyers in the United States want to drag Meghan into a federal court of law under oath? The legal strategy was as brilliant as it was terrifying for Montecito. Boies recognized that in the elite, high-stakes world of international yachting and luxury Mediterranean networking, the social circles of powerful, compromised figures like Prince Andrew and ambitious Hollywood figures frequently overlapped. In corporate crisis management, we call this contagious reputational damage. Imagine owning a multi-million-dollar luxury estate, and the property right next door suddenly erupts into an inferno. Even if the actual flames never touch your structure, the thick, toxic smoke drifts directly across your lawn, ruining the interior, ruining the air quality, and permanently destroying your property value. Prince Andrew's disastrous ties to international figures represented the burning house, and the smoke drifted dangerously close to Meghan's carefully manicured narrative. If she was indeed present in those exact same elite Mediterranean circles years before joining the royal family, she was a potential eyewitness to the inner workings of an ultra-wealthy, deeply compromised social network. The legal demand for her deposition was an attempt to force open her private history under penalty of perjury. This scenario represents the ultimate operational nightmare for Archewell. For years, the core pillar of Meghan's public story has been that she was a completely naive, innocent outsider who knew absolutely nothing about the British monarchy, never Googled her future husband, and was simply swept up in a fairy tale romance. But if it is ever established that she was moving through the exact same elite, high society yachting channels as Prince Andrew years before her engagement, that entire origin story crumbles into dust. It reveals a pre-existing, highly calculated trajectory toward the very institution she now claims systematically oppressed her. The global public's obsession with this topic is not merely a thirst for salacious gossip. It is an aggressive demand for total transparency from a public figure who spends her entire life lecturing the global public on honesty, truth, and moral integrity. The sheer panic behind closed doors at Archewell must be reaching a fever pitch, because in a court of law or under the lens of mainstream journalism, you cannot hide behind a slickly produced Netflix documentary or a sanitized PR statement. While these historical liabilities are exploding in the press, the current commercial engine of the Sussex operation is experiencing a total embarrassing meltdown. Julie Burchill perfectly encapsulated this downward spiral when she noted that Meghan has officially transitioned from the historic ranks of global royalty down to the undignified, cheap status of a pay-by-the-hour commercial commodity. To understand just how far this brand has fallen in 2026, one only needs to look at the catastrophic failure of her recent, highly publicized women's retreat in Sydney, Australia. The event was marketed as an ultra-exclusive, transformative wellness experience for high-net-worth women, with ticket prices set at a jaw-dropping $2,699 Australian dollars. But the corporate reality behind this manifestation banquet was a complete disaster. The event organizer behind the venture, Gemma O'Neill, was forced into sudden bankruptcy proceedings, leaving behind an eye-watering trail of debt exceeding 700,000 Australian dollars. Under any serious corporate analysis, this is a classic case of rapid down-market brand dilution triggered by an urgent need for short-term cash flow. It is the commercial equivalent of a high-end luxury fashion house suddenly selling cheap plastic trinkets out of a clearance bin because they are completely out of liquidity and cannot cover their monthly operating overhead. When you represent sovereign royalty, your commercial value is derived entirely from exclusivity, mystique, and dignity. You do not sell access, you do not charge fans to sit near you, and you certainly do not host pay-to-play self-help seminars. But when you walk away from the financial security of the monarchy, and multi-million-dollar distribution deals with streaming giants fall apart due to lack of productivity, the financial strain becomes unbearable. So what is the strategy? You begin charging wealthy fans for photo opportunities and wellness speeches like a washed-up reality television star at a local fan convention. It is a desperate, transparent grift, plain and simple, and the global market is reacting with absolute disdain. Burchill tore into the Sydney event with unsparing irony, mocking the weekend as an exercise in massive, navel-gazing absurdity filled with cheap wine manifestation sessions, pseudo-scientific sound baths, and endless corporate jargon. It was a cringe-worthy attempt to monetize a royal title in the most vulgar manner imaginable. The tragedy for the Montecito brand is that by chasing these quick, cheap payouts, Meghan is permanently destroying the long-term luxury equity of her platform. Nobody is going to view her as a serious global leader, a high-minded diplomat, or a visionary philanthropist when she is busy hosting overpriced self-help seminars for a room of 300 socialites in Sydney. The transition from a historic royal figure to a cheap commercial commodity is complete, and the financial market is treating the Sussex brand with total derision. She traded her sovereign dignity for a quick payday, proving to the world that her entire platform is, and always has been, about immediate commercial monetization. This brings us directly into the toxic domain of a systemic total bankruptcy of public trust. In the corporate world, when a company repeatedly misleads its consumers, inflates its numbers, or manipulates its core data, the market eventually reaches a tipping point where it refuses to believe a single word coming out of the corporate communications office. This exact phenomenon is playing out right now regarding the bizarre, unprecedented public skepticism surrounding the physical existence, voices, and appearances of the Sussex children, Archie and Lilibet. In our analytical framework, this is a full-blown authenticity audit. When Samantha Markle publicly states on international television that she does not believe the audio clips released by Archewell feature the genuine voice of her young niece, she is triggering a catastrophic crisis of confidence that hits at the very core of the Sussex narrative. Samantha highlighted a series of glaring, highly peculiar inconsistencies that would sink any legitimate corporate marketing effort. Over the years, the public has been subjected to a highly controlled, deeply suspicious drip feed of imagery where hair colors magically shift from light blonde to dark red, and physical growth proportions seem to alter erratically between rare public releases. Because the Sussexes have consistently refused to allow independent, world-renowned news agencies to conduct standard press calls or photo opportunities, preferring instead to release heavily edited, stylized, and filtered shots on private channels, they have created a massive information vacuum. In public relations, an unverified vacuum is instantly filled with intense skepticism, forensic digital examination, and wild speculation. The brand is now suffering the brutal, unavoidable consequences of its own obsessive secrecy. By constantly hiding the children behind artistic shadows, presenting them from the back, or blurring their features in high-budget documentaries, they thought they were preserving an aura of mystery and protection. But in reality, they systematically destroyed the basic market value of their own authenticity. If the global consumer cannot even verify the foundational elements of your family narrative, they will instinctively reject every commercial product you try to sell them. The voice of a young child ought to be a source of innocent joy, but under the heavy-handed, desperate spin machine of Montecito, it becomes just another contested, unverified corporate asset. When your own immediate family members publicly dispute the legitimacy of the photos and timelines you present to the world, the structural integrity of your brand collapses. The Sussexes spent millions trying to buy a sanitized, redacted version of history, only to realize that no amount of Hollywood lighting can force a deeply skeptical public to trust a product they no longer believe is real. To understand how this crisis escalated so quickly, we have to examine how the Montecito machine manages its human capital, because it reveals a level of cold, calculating opportunism that is downright staggering. Every growing business relies on early-stage investors, loyal partners, and key advisors to build its initial footprint. During Meghan's rapid social climb from a mid-tier cable television actress to a world-famous royal bride, figures like Jessica Mulroney and Nanaki Pretty were absolutely vital strategic assets. They provided her with fashion curation, high society access, media contacts, and crucial historical legitimacy. But in the cold world of Montecito brand management, legacy partners are treated as completely disposable commodities the moment their utility expires. The second Jessica Mulroney found herself embroiled in a highly publicized social media controversy in 2020, Meghan did not stand by her closest confidant. Instead, she executed a swift, ruthless stop-loss order. The decades-long friendship was liquidated overnight with chilling corporate efficiency. Mulroney was completely excised from the official narrative, ghosted, and scrubbed from the Sussex network as if she had never existed. Under our analytical lens, this is a clear policy of liability liquidation. To maintain an unblemished, high-gloss image for future elite investors, Meghan instantly purges anyone who poses even a temporary threat to her commercial standing. Fast forward to 2026, and those genuine long-term historical friends have been entirely replaced by what we call temporary social capital injections. These are wealthy, high-profile figures, media moguls, and billionaire executives like Jamie Kern-Lima. People who possess immense, immediate promotional value but have zero historical roots in Meghan's actual life journey. It is a transactional, shallow approach to human relationships. The current business model relies on these instant billionaire friendships to provide temporary corporate validation, glossy Instagram endorsements, and quick PR defense whenever a new scandal erupts. However, the global public is far smarter than the PR strategists think. Consumers can easily differentiate between organic, lifelong friendships built on mutual trust and manufactured, corporate alliances forged for mutual cross-promotion. When your entire social circle shifts overnight to consist exclusively of billionaires, media titans, and influencers who only entered your orbit after you acquired a royal title, your brand completely loses its relatability. The public looks at these rapid, highly calculated friend rotations and sees an operation that views human beings purely as stepping stones to be used, exploited, and discarded when convenient. By burning through genuine, loyal friends to chase short-term high-net-worth protection, the Sussexes have permanently severed their connection with the everyday empathy they constantly lecture the world about. This brings us to the ultimate strategic miscalculation in the breakaway Sussex expansion plan: their predatory decision to exploit a temporary governance vacuum within the British monarchy. During the early months of recent years, the central leadership of the Crown faced unprecedented, deeply sensitive personal challenges, with King Charles undergoing active cancer treatments and the Prince and Princess of Wales stepping back from public duties to navigate intense medical recoveries and protect their young children. The operational bandwidth of Buckingham Palace was stretched to its absolute limit. The brand architects in Montecito clearly viewed this painful period of vulnerability as a low-risk, high-reward window to push their commercial agenda into overdrive. They coldly calculated that the royal family would be far too distracted by health crises, emotional stress, and state responsibilities to actively police or challenge the misuse of sovereign titles, royal branding, and commercial ventures. It was a deeply cynical maneuver, capitalizing on the temporary physical weakness of an institution to capture global headlines, launch commercial lifestyle ventures, and dominate the media landscape without opposition. But this hyper-aggressive strategy completely failed to account for the historic resilience, long-term mechanics, and quiet power of sovereign authority. The monarchy does not operate on a frantic 24-hour news cycle. It operates on a timeline measured in centuries. The grand strategists in Montecito failed to realize that the sovereign crown does not fight battles in the mud of the tabloid press. What they mistook for institutional helplessness was, in reality, the execution of a lethal, quietly devastating masterclass in administrative checkmate. By maintaining a total, uncompromising wall of silence toward every provocative interview, every desperate lifestyle launch, every staged paparazzi walk, and every cheap internet video, the leadership in London initiated a textbook asset depreciation strategy against their commercial detractors. The palace administration understands the absolute core law of modern outrage economics. Attention, conflict, and reaction are the vital oxygen that keeps the breakaway Sussex business model alive. If Buckingham Palace were to issue angry legal threats, formal public denials, or high-profile denunciations, they would instantly grant millions of dollars in free global press coverage and continuous narrative oxygen to a commercial venture that is starving for mainstream relevance. Instead, by remaining completely stoic, executing their constitutional duties with quiet dignity, and refusing to grant the Sussexes even a single line of official recognition, the royal institution effectively starved the Montecito machine of its primary commercial fuel. They allowed the breakaway brand to slowly, agonizingly suffocate under the weight of its own vulgarity, public missteps, and relentless commercial overexposure. The market is now watching the agonizing, unedited decline of a commercial entity that has completely burned through its royal capital and is reduced to trading on cheap internet publicity stunts, paid for awards, and borrowed prestige. The massive, glaring chasm between the enduring, dignified, centuries-old reality of the crown and the erratic, frantic, and desperate nature of the Sussex commercial operation grows wider with every passing day. This brutal contrast proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that while a rogue commercial brand might capture a temporary headline by exploiting a moment of family crisis, the enduring institution plays the long game and secures the ultimate, permanent victory. What makes this entire downfall so fascinating to observe from a brand analysis perspective is the total failure of Montecito's high-priced PR apparatus to read the room. For years, the global public was told that Harry and Meghan were modernizing the monarchy, that they possessed a unique magic that the rigid British institution desperately needed to stay relevant in the modern era. But the moment they were severed from the grand, ancient architecture of the crown, the illusion completely shattered. Without the majestic backdrops of ancient palaces, state banquets, carriage processions, and historic ceremonies, the Sussex brand was exposed for what it truly was: standard, run-of-the-mill Hollywood celebrity culture, wrapped in a shiny coat of artificial self-righteousness. The global public quickly realized that without the royal institution providing the dignity and prestige, the product being sold was remarkably hollow. Look at the trail of abandoned projects, failed partnerships, and broken promises left in their wake over the past few years. Major global media conglomerates that once handed them eye-watering multi-million-dollar deals out of pure curiosity and high expectations eventually realized that the return on investment was simply not there. Streaming giants quickly discovered that producing high-value, compelling content requires actual hard work, creative discipline, and long-term commitment, not just endless self-indulgent complaints about how hard it is to be fabulously wealthy and privileged. Executive after executive privately, and sometimes very publicly, expressed deep frustration at the lack of output, the constant shifting of goals, and the utter refusal to deliver viable commercial hits. The brutal reality of the open market hit Montecito like a freight train. In the real world of global business, royal titles might open the door for an initial meeting, but they cannot force a global audience to consume a product that lacks substance, originality, and genuine talent. As the major corporate doors began to slam shut one by one, the desperation in Montecito became palpable. The sudden pivot to lifestyle branding, emergency podcast revivals, and low-budget local events was not a strategic evolution. It was a frantic, chaotic retreat. They went from claiming they were going to lead a global revolution of compassion and change the world to hawking overpriced luxury jam jars and hosting wellness seminars for local high society ladies in Australia. The fall from grace has been so swift, so sharp, and so utterly self-inflicted that business schools will be studying the collapse of the Sussex brand for decades to come as a masterclass in how to completely destroy a billion-dollar public relations asset in record time. The tragedy of the entire situation is that it was entirely avoidable. Had they possessed even a shred of genuine humility, long-term vision, or strategic patience, they could have built an enduring, highly respected global foundation. They could have quietly done the work, built legitimate charitable ventures, and earned the respect of the global community over time through results rather than self-awarded trophies. But the obsessive need for constant public validation, instant massive payouts, and total control over every media narrative proved to be their ultimate undoing. They wanted all the staggering wealth, global prestige, and deferential treatment of historic royalty without any of the duty, sacrifice, discipline, or public scrutiny that comes with it. They tried to turn a 1,000-year-old constitutional legacy into a cheap, quick cash influencer platform, and the global market rejected the trade with absolute contempt. Now, as the long-buried yacht girl questions explode back into the mainstream press courtesy of fearless columnists like Julie Burchill, and as the legal ghosts of past high society connections continue to haunt their polished narrative, the Montecito machine finds itself backed into a tight, inescapable corner. The redacted era is officially over, the gloss has worn completely off, and the cold, unsparing public audit of the Sussex ledger has begun in earnest. They can no longer hide behind glossy multi-million-dollar PR campaigns, weaponized accusations of media bias, or slickly produced documentaries. The public has seen behind the curtain. They have analyzed the numbers, they have observed the pattern of discarded friends and broken alliances, and they have reached a final, definitive verdict. The Sussexes built their entire post-royal empire on